Fellow Grenadians, Caricunians and Petit Martinicans, I bring you warm and fraternal greetings from the National Democratic Congress. It has been now 1 year since our frontline workers in the health sector, police and other security services, essential services such as transportation, supermarkets and other retail outlets began sacrificing everything to put our well-being above all else in the midst of COVID-19. Because of your hard work and sacrifice, we are kept safe with low rates of infection. On behalf of the people of Grenada, the NDC says thank you. Our dear teachers, 1 year ago, without complaint, you once again became students, learning new methods of teaching and using technology, and adapting to a new work environment, your home. You lovingly did this to ensure that our children continue with their educational training and personal development. You learned while you taught, and you gave selflessly. On behalf of the people of Grenada, the NDC says thank you. Brothers and sisters, we all tuned in on our various devices to listen to the national address by the Prime Minister. Once more, our expectations of an inspiring and uplifting address were dashed. 1 year since Grenada recorded its first COVID case, 1 year since we accepted that the disruption brought on by the pandemic, life as we know it will never be the same. 1 year since all of us realized that to achieve national sustainable growth in future, there must be a paradigm shift in the areas we depend on as engines of economic growth. 1 year, and Prime Minister Mitchell and his cabinet remain stagnated in the same old mold. In the address, Prime Minister Mitchell exposed himself to be a ruler for the good times. His arrogant, chastising, disrespectful, and impatient tone exposed that he is unable to govern in a crisis or to think outside the box when challenged. Mitchell is only good for when things are good. Brothers and sisters, we all have come to realize that Dr. Mitchell and his NMP put themselves in the political self-interest before that of the people. He therefore constantly breaks promises made and bamboozles with lies. For this reason, the workers of Grenada simply cannot trust him. Just before the 2008 elections, Dr. Mitchell tries to buy workers' votes by signing an agreement with the union for substantial salary increases. The new NDC government stood by the workers and honored that agreement. Brothers and sisters, in addition to that, the NDC government made a large number of temporary teachers and public workers permanent between 2008 and 2012. These may well have been the last permanent employees taken on in the teaching and public service. That is why teachers and public workers did not have to match for wages, job security during the NDC administration. We put our people first. In contrast, brothers and sisters, just before the 2018 elections, Dr. Mitchell signed a memorandum of understanding with the unions. That MOU promised to restore workers' pension and gratuity. As soon as elections were over, this government backed out of the MOU. Workers of Grenada, the NDC fully understands why you do not trust the Prime Minister. Over the years, while Dr. Mitchell increases wages and allowances for his MPs, he asked the workers of this country to sacrifice and take wage freezes while we embark on a structural adjustment program. the workers cooperated and in 2017 negotiated a 4% increase. Brothers and sisters, for many teachers and public workers, 4% will only mean an additional $48 a month. Once again, Dr. Mitchell has broken his promise and is refusing to pay. Like his Minister of Education, he arrogantly says to the workers, "You will get it when we have it." It is unacceptable, untrustworthy for the Prime Minister to look at our workers in the faces and say to them he has no money to pay them. He has found over $200 million to pay Grenlec judgment, which was a complete unnecessary debt. He has found a way to secure the loan of over $100 million for the airport. He has found over $30 million to spend on traffic lights that we don't need for now. He finds hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay advisors such as Mistress Alexandra Otway-Noel, his son Olinga, and many other party hawks. All this shows not only that the Prime Minister does not know how to govern in a crisis, but also how absolutely reckless he and his administration are. Brothers and sisters, we heard for the first time the Prime Minister admitting what we in the NDC have been saying all along, that the large sum the government coughed up from a secret source to pay for Grenlec after they lost the case had nothing to do with lowering electricity rates, or breaking up a monopoly, or patriotic sentiment, or getting into renewable sources of energy. It was because if they didn't pay up, the whole economy would have been strangled. WRB would have enforced the judgment and froze every government bank account, garnished all monies coming to the government, crippled airport operation. That is what recklessness and vindictiveness in government caused. The haste to pay WRB was all about a senseless vendetta coming back to bite two reckless men and an entire nation. Is it right for government to pay some judgments and not others? Perhaps Gemma Bain Thomas, Dorset Charles, and all the other Grenadians with judgments that Mitchell and Bowen refused to pay should begin enforcing these judgments just like WRB threatened to do. During the address, the Prime Minister asked the question, are we willing to sacrifice the desires of a few at the expense of the many? We ask him the question, why were you and Gregory Bowen willing to sacrifice a hateful vendetta at the expense of the economic ruin of the whole nation? Brothers and sisters, the Prime Minister urged the union leaders to lead by example. The question is he taking his own advice? Why not lead by example in these challenging times by being truthful with our people? How about leading by example by stop hiring party hawks for thousands of dollars? How about leading by example by placing greater emphasis on agriculture and related sectors? Brothers and sisters, at this very difficult time in our history, we need each other more than ever. We need leaders that will unite us and bind us together in unbreakable cords. Mitchell and the NMP are not a uniting force. Fellow Grenadians, we all listened to the address and we heard clearly the Prime Minister playing the game of a divider rather than a uniter, trying to get parents, road workers, debushers, contract and non-unionized workers against teachers and public officers. This is a classic divide and rule tactic of a dictator. Teachers, police officers, public workers, stand firm and unite together. Let no one bully and intimidate you. Let no one take away your constitutional rights to assemble and protest until you are paid what is rightfully yours. We urge all Grenadians to stand in solidarity with our teachers and public workers. On the issue of the vaccine, the NDC is grateful to the government and peoples of Dominica and Barbados for providing the vaccines that we now have. As indicated before, the NDC encourages our people to get vaccinated. Doing so will help us to resume normal operations sooner rather than later. Brothers and sisters, while we encourage you all to get vaccinated, we urge Dr. Mitchell and his Minister of Health, rather than threats, force, fear, and intimidation, use education to encourage people to take the vaccine. Threats and intimidation will only cause more resistance. Many of our people would like to have a choice of vaccines. Arrogance from our leaders will only be counterproductive. Fellow Grenadians, the statement by the Prime Minister that there are illegal persons in the country is of grave concern to the NDC. It points to yet another failure of the Prime Minister as the Minister of National Security. In this period, it is his responsibility to keep us safe within our borders. Rather than traffic lights, why not invest more in keeping our borders safe? By this admission, the Prime Minister told us that government is not taking the necessary actions to protect the population and must therefore take full responsibility for persons entering the country illegally. As a responsible organization, our party likes to offer solutions. Brothers and sisters, difficult times call for inspirational, visionary leadership. We do not have that in Dr. Kit Mitchell. What we have is a dictator who is arrogant. The NDC offers better. Had our party been in office now, here are only some of the steps and initiatives we would have undertaken to survive the pandemic and thrive afterwards. A more consultative approach towards our workers demanding what is rightful theirs. Instead of traffic lights and taking the large airport loan, pay teachers and public workers their 4%. On and continuing, engage in more public education on COVID-19. Engage in education and persuasion instead of threats and intimidation in order to get the population vaccinated. Give much needed support to farmers, including poultry and livestock, fishermen, in order to ensure food and nutrition security. Exploit the many available opportunities for our young people to obtain jobs in the information technology field. In conclusion, my brothers and sisters, as we celebrate the season of Easter with Christians throughout the world, let us also share in the sense of hope, which is one of the most important messages of Easter, a reminder of the constant renewal of life here on earth. It doesn't matter whether we are Christian, Muslim, or Hindu, this message of hope is meaningful to us all in our desire towards living the fullness of our lives. Easter offers the assurance that the many difficulties and challenges that threaten to overwhelm us will be overcome. The risen Christ offers us joy and peace, forgiveness and hope. Most of all, he offers you himself. Therefore, we need not fear with him. We will overcome. We are in this together. Together, we are stronger. Happy Easter to you all. And may God bless all of us. May he bless Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. I thank you.